6 hidden mechanisms your psyche uses to deceive you each and every day. You likely consider yourself an honest, reasonable, and truly objective person who sees the world exactly as it really is. But let us take off those rose-tinted glasses for a moment. Sigmund Freud showed that your mind is the greatest con artist, lying right to your face both day and night. Our psyche is quite literally incapable of withstanding harsh reality, of admitting its own rather shameful desires, weaknesses, hidden motives, and fear. If the entire truth about you suddenly rose to the surface of your consciousness all at once, you would very likely go mad from truly unbearable anxiety and shame. To protect your fragile ego from falling into self-destruction, your subconscious has constructed a powerful system of internal filters, psychological defense mechanisms. They operate automatically and largely unnoticed by you. They masterfully rewrite your memories, subtly distort your motives, make you see an enemy where there truly isn't one, and come up with neat, convenient justifications for even the most foolish and destructive actions. Today, we will carefully dissect 6 hidden mechanisms by which your psyche quietly deceives you every single day, and find out how this complete self-deception gradually steals your control over your own life. Mechanism 1. Repression, the forced amnesia of the conscious mind. The very first mechanism is repression. This is the oldest, most fundamental, and also the crudest tool of psychological defense. It works very much like rigid, totalitarian censorship. If a thought, a memory, a childhood psychological trauma, or a shameful act causes you intense mental pain, your subconscious mind takes that fact and forcibly pushes it right down into the deepest basement of the unconscious mind. You sincerely and completely forget what actually happened to you. For example, a person may not be able to remember at all the details of a terrible accident, a deeply painful breakup, or bullying at school. The problem is that the repressed truth doesn't simply disappear. It continues to live deep down, gradually turning into a hidden, festering abscess. This locked-up energy keeps searching for a way out and begins to take control of your body, breaking through to the surface in the form of panic attacks, chronic fatigue, phobias, and psychosomatic illnesses. Your subconscious has erased your memory to protect you from pain, but in return, it has taken your health away from you. Mechanism 2. Projection. Projecting your own dirtiness onto the people around you. The second mechanism is projection. Have you ever noticed that certain qualities in other people irritate you right up to the point of shaking? A colleague seems almost pathologically greedy, a partner a rather secretive egoist, and a random acquaintance an outright arrogant lout. You condemn them, and you waste a truly huge amount of energy on criticism. But Freud discovered a rather cynical law. Projection is when your subconscious takes your own hidden, shameful, and utterly unacceptable impulses you are afraid to acknowledge within yourself, and attributes them to the people around you. If there is a latent, unconscious urge to be unfaithful residing within you, you will begin to feel paranoidally jealous and start to suspect your partner. If you yourself are profoundly envious and greedy, you will tend to see self-interest and falseness in almost every kind gesture from other people. Projection permits you to feel like a pure and innocent saint, waging an almost endless and thoroughly righteous war against your own deeply concealed demons, which you have projected outward into the external world. Mechanism 3. Sublimation, redirecting darker energy into a socially useful channel. Freud considered this mechanism to be the only truly healthy and constructive defense of our psyche. Inside each of us, there seethes a huge amount of primitive animal energy, libido and martido, that is, sexual desire and aggression. Strictly prohibits us from openly raping, smashing, killing, and giving in to utterly wild impulses. Sublimation is when the subconscious mind, by instinct, takes this dark, destructive energy and transforms it into socially approved and genuinely useful activity. A person with hidden sadistic tendencies and a thirst for blood becomes an outstanding, highly skilled surgeon. A person with a wild, intensely seething level of latent aggression goes into professional boxing, or builds a tough, fiercely aggressive business, destroying competitors. All global progress, great painting, music, science, and architecture are the result of sublimation. The psyche deceives your instincts, making them work for consciousness rather than for destruction. Mechanism 4. Regression, an escape into a more raw, more helpless state. Mechanism 4. This is regression, when an otherwise independent adult is confronted with a serious life crisis, extreme stress, or a problem their mind simply cannot properly work out right now. The subconscious switches into a kind of rewind mode. The psyche travels back through time and brings you to those stages of development when you were a small, utterly defenseless child for whom your parents decided absolutely everything. Instead of making tough adult decisions, a man, in the midst of a family crisis, shuts himself in a room, switches on a computer game, pulls the blanket over his head, or hums himself into unconsciousness. During a serious conflict, a woman begins to sob uncontrollably, pout, stamp her feet, or feign illness, demanding pity for herself. Regression is a cowardly deception of the subconscious. The psyche retreats into childlike helplessness, hoping that the real world will somehow solve all the problems by itself while you sit in a mental sandbox. Mechanism 5. Rationalization is the creation of a pretty lie to justify foolish actions. It is the favorite tool of modern intellectuals. Rationalization switches on when you have already committed a foolish, impulsive, cowardly, or immoral act under the influence of emotions or manipulation, and your ego tries to save face and prove that you acted logically and correctly. You blew your last money on an expensive, unnecessary thing, and your subconscious will immediately come up with watertight logic. It was an investment in my status. I need it for work. You only live once. You backed out, didn't properly protect your boundaries, or remained silent when your boss humiliated you. Rationalization will instantly come up with a comforting, reassuring lie. I was only showing a bit of wisdom. I'm above all that. There's no need to lower myself to his level. Did you leave someone who loved you? The psyche will immediately rewrite the motives. I did it for his own good. We are simply too different. Rationalization is like a factory that keeps producing neat, pretty justifications, which allows you to stay right in your own eyes while doing even the most foolish things. The sixth mechanism is denial, a complete, utterly blind refusal to see what is obvious. The sixth mechanism is denial. The most primitive and childlike, yet still incredibly harsh, psychological defense when reality hits you with such force that all the other filters simply can't cope. The subconscious mind simply closes its eyes and says, "This isn't happening, this cannot possibly be happening." The psyche resolutely blocks the perception of plainly obvious facts. It is precisely denial that makes a woman fail to notice for years that her husband is openly unfaithful to her, even though all the evidence is in plain sight. She genuinely believes even his most ridiculous excuses, because to acknowledge the infidelity means to destroy her entire world. It is precisely denial that makes a person with clear symptoms of a fatal illness delay going to the doctor for months, persuading themselves that it is merely a minor indisposition and will simply go away on its own. The mind can switch into a state of almost total blindness, shielding you from shock, but this kind of protection is dangerously deadly. It leaves you utterly defenseless when you are faced with a real catastrophe. In conclusion, I want to say, your psyche is a truly brilliant illusionist. It actively suppresses your pain, steadily projects your sins onto your neighbors, carefully rationalizes your foolishness, and stubbornly denies what is plainly obvious. The subconscious tends to do this with the very best of intentions. It protects you from suffering, but the price of that protection is simply too high. You gradually lose touch with reality. You simply can't genuinely take real control of your life while your mind is constantly trading hard facts for convenient, comforting illusions. Stop being a victim. Start with cold cynicism, deliberately catching yourself right in the act the very next time you begin to angrily judge someone or come up with overly long-winded excuses for your inaction. Pause for just a brief moment and ask yourself what bitter truth about yourself your subconscious is protecting you from right now. Take off those mental filters. Face reality completely and directly. Take control of the world and yourself. Thanks for watching to the end. Speak soon.